Once we get the strip defined, it's a matter of drawing upon some standard libraries for the die assembly, all the plates that are included in the assembly, lots of standard parts and components that go into a die assembly such as this. So I'm going to show you some highlights of a few of these things. Some of them are going to be custom, especially some of the punches and dies that need to go into this, because they of course have to conform to the flanges on the part. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about the setting up your die assembly, as well as I'll show you some examples of what some of the standard libraries look like in a little bit of time that we've got left, and also how some of the tooling is done. So there's multiple kinds of tooling. There's bending tools, there's piercing tools like you see here on this screen that perform the punching operations. There's forming tools that might perform operations like the bead shapes that you'll see here. So I can show you how some of that looks live here. So let me go back to my strip. I'm going to just go ahead and continue on where the strip is. So now when you're working with progressive die, you even have another navigator called the view manager. So the view manager shows up over here. You don't see this in normal NX operations, but the view manager actually understands the structure of the die assembly in terms of a progressive die, as opposed to layers or other types of kind of NX generic type of organizations. So we got this view manager over here. I'm going to go ahead and let's go and create the die assembly. So we're going to go over here to yeah, here we go. Sorry about that. So go to the die base, and when we define the die base, here's where we can draw from a catalog of different types of die assemblies. So these are some samples that come with NX. If we pick one of these die assemblies, there's different variations. So we've got a legend on the right-hand side, and this one actually has 2 pages. So if you go back and forth, you can see what some of the dimensions are. So let me just stick with the one I've got here, just again for kind of sake of time. I'm going to go ahead and define the area for this assembly. So let me move some of these things around. So we'll go from a point over here. Let's see. So let's reset this. So I'm going to go from a point there over all the way over to the right-hand side over here. And then, again, based on the legend that you see here, there's several parameters that we have to enter. So I've got some numbers I'm going to go ahead and start putting in here. So some of these, again, are based on predefined values that are part of the catalog. So let me choose some of these. Some of these are going to be drop downs so that the user has specific values that they can select. Some of these other ones are going to be more like manual entries or or just specific entries that you can put in. So let's go back down here, put in some of these. It's going to be 25. This is 25. Let's see, this is 30. DB, okay, let's see. So this is, and this one. So I've got a couple more to enter in here, and then we'll be ready to go. Okay, let me just make sure I didn't forget one, because otherwise it won't look right. BP. Okay. So click OK, and once we get all the parameters defined, of course, if you want to change your values in that very same screen, so it looks like I made it a little short. What did I do there? So if I go back in here, if you want to edit these things, you can select the die assembly, and it'll come back and give you the different parameters here. Let's see. Let's change this number here. There we go. Yeah, so that's what I want to do. I missed that last stage. I mistyped a number in there. So actually, I accidentally showed you how you can edit that. I wasn't planning to do that, but I showed you how you can edit that. So that's how the die assembly works. Just got running overtime here, so appreciate you guys hanging with me. Let me show you real quick how to do a forming tool. So within the view navigator over here, I can turn off the die base. So again, this view manager understands the structure of the die assembly, and I'll just turn off the die base components and focus here on the strip itself. So let's take a look at the strip, and I'll show you an example how to do a tool based on the part that's in there now. So up here in the die design tools, there's different types of inserts that you can design. Let's go to a bending insert. So when you define a bending insert, you can select the faces that are affected by that bend. So let me select those two. And we can do either a punch or a die in the same function. So I'm going to go ahead and do a punch, and I'm going to define a sketch for the outside profile of this punch. And I'll do something fairly simple. I'll just do a rectangle. So let's create a rectangle over here. Of course, I can constrain it if I want. It's typical sketch tools. Let me go ahead and finish that. And we got some parameters for the punch, and you'll see based on the faces I've selected, it automatically takes those faces and applies it to the tool. And of course, extends the faces as necessary to the extent of the rectangle that I chose. So there's an example of a punch. We can do the die side very easily in the same way. So let me go back out here. Here we are. So let me zoom in here, select these faces. We're going to do a die this time. And again, we'll sketch the shape, do another simple shape here, another rectangle. I'll make it a little bit bigger, just so you can see you can make them slightly different if you want. And there's the die. So very, very easy to go through with these tools. You'll see similar things for the forming and piercing inserts.